Hello, welcome. Thank you all for coming. The reason I put this event together is I had a few questions to ask selectmen and a few questions I wanted answered from real estate law attorney, so I decided to put on the event to answer my questions and share the information with everyone. So without further ado, Nick Tebow, Realtor with Keller Williams.
Hey guys. First off, it's a nice small group today, so we can do a little more interactive presentation rather than just sitting here, me talking to you guys. I'm guessing we know already some people are experienced in the room, so maybe we won't go over the too much basic stuff, but let's see what we have here. The possibilities of real estate. There's a lot of different kinds of real estate and a lot of different possibilities to go. We're going to go over the power of leverage and what it can do to help you create a lot more wealth at a faster pace, and following proven systems and models rather than just going with the flow and thinking you know everything. Me. This is a good stat to know that 17% of all 1 to 4 unit homes are actually purchased by an investor or have an investor involved. So that meaning in the 1 to 4 unit homes, you actually you're competing against a lot of home buyers, not only investors. So there's actually more competition in the smaller units. And then most investors that like to buy homes nearby their house, and and it's pretty obvious why. They like to see it, they like to touch it, know that it's real, because it's real estate. Having big goals is always something good to have in real estate, and knowing your big why is the most important thing, because there's no really reason to just keep working once you've hit a couple $1 million, whatever your freedom number is. You have to know what your big why is, or you'll just keep working and tire yourself out and then never actually enjoy life and have your big why. Big models, if you don't follow big models that are proven already, you're just going to end up learning the same things that the people that you could have just learned it from already learned. And having big habits, setting them daily and always doing them is very important in real estate, where we don't have bosses as investors. We are our own boss, so you have to actually take the time to become self-improving every day. Some of the unique features about real estate, rather than the stock market and bonds and mutual funds and other investments, is the fact that you can actually use you can use leverage, and instead of using all your own money, now you can use other people's money to make you money. And then also the fact that buying real estate, most of the time it's always going up in value, and it's as long as you buy it in the right area, then you know that it's never going to go down to zero. This is some examples of using leverage. We're showing how instead of using, if you took a loan, say you're buying a 4 unit in a town not around here, because obviously houses aren't worth $100,000 around here, but 5% of $100,000 is $5,000, and now instead of paying the full $100,000, you're actually able to net 25% more on your money. You like to come and help with this one?
So there's two main ways ways you can make money in real estate. One's through the financial model, which is equity buildup. This is where you're buying properties in order to wait until the value increases. And when you're doing this, you're also paying down the debt on the property. If you have a long-term mortgage, what you want to do is pay down the principal as much as possible, because that's where the interest rate that you're paying is calculated from. The second is cash flow growth. This is one of the more popular approach models, financial models in real estate. It's where you're renting out a property in order to create a cash flow for yourself. In this same way, you want to pay off the debt that you're getting, but at the same time, it allows you to get cash flow from the property to help pay for that mortgage or property. So why do people invest in real estate? So return on investment, or ROI, is a big one. It's less out of pocket than and more into pocket. And then that's because you can leverage other people's money in order to invest in real estate. The second is tax write-offs. You're able to write off deductions from your taxes. We'll get more into that on the next slide. Grow net worth through equity, like you saw in Model 1. By using that strategy, you're building equity within a property. And then on to the next one. So talking about tax write-offs from the last slide. These are some of the tax write-offs you can have on a real estate property. You have the operating expenses, management, leasing, etc., mortgage interest, financing costs, miscellaneous closing costs, depreciation of real estate property, capital improvements, personal property, and maintenance and expenses. This can be good because you can write them off. Nick, I'll tag you back in.
Alright. Well, this property is what some people would call an investor's dreams. It's actually, I got the stats right here. This is 145 Front Street. This was, it's a 5-story building, 370 units, residential. It has 12,000 square foot for retail space on the bottom and 479 parking spots. This property was listed at $30 million and is totally different ballpark when it comes to investing. You have to have a huge team, and part of investing is growing a team that you can trust that eventually can take care of a property like this. So now we'll go to some smaller properties. We have condos, single family houses, duplexes, fourplexes, and then above, which we just showed. There's a lot of pros and cons to each type of real estate. Some of the pros of owning a condo is the condo association is in charge of the outside maintenance of the building, and some of the cons are that there's real estate fees, and also that sometimes the condo association can actually, some of the other owners may not take care of their property as well, and the fees can actually go up more, or there's something that can be wrong in the building and people move out. There's a lot of different things that can go wrong, so you always want to study what you're going to be learning if you're going into condos. This is one of the condos that we showing you in Worcester. It's a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo, 531 Main Street. It's going for $90,000. I've seen a lot of investors that like to buy these. Most of the time, it's beginner investors. Sometimes cash investors that just will buy these properties and rent them out, and they most of the time for cash, so that they don't have any debt to pay, and or they'll buy it, live in it, and then go and buy another condo as their dream little house and end up renting this one.
What's a $90,000 condo in Worcester go for? Rent.
Rent-wise, this condo would probably rent between depending on how nice that you do it up, would go between 1,100 to like 1,300 in the right area. Single-family homes there's some pretty good pros to it. The appreciation on a single-family home is actually a lot greater than on any other real estate. And the reason behind that is there's not only investors going after single-family homes, there's also home buyers that don't really care about making money off their property. They're going to go live in it. It's their dream home. So they'll actually go and pay above what an investor could make off of the property. Also, it's easier to resell because of that reason. And some of the cons, though, is if, say, you're renting this single-family home, you only have one unit, and if someone moves out, it's a lot harder to have someone lined up that day to start renting the property again. So when one thing goes vacant, it's 100% vacant. This is a single-family home. It's a fixer-upper in Millbury. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom home with 1,134 square feet. It's going for $149, I believe, and if it was a flip home, you could probably go fix it up and sell it around between $240 and $280, depending on the finishes you put in and the extent of work you do. Duplexes, a lot of beginner investors like to start with these. It's a little bit less risk than the fourplex, which is the highest amount of units you can have with a low down payment that a lot of beginner investors start with. It's more cash flow than a single-family home. If you're buying it and renting it out, both units, then now you obviously have 2 units coming in, and you can buy the property at a reasonable rate compared to the single-family home and just renting the 1 unit. It has a little bit lower appreciation because now you're not only home buyers are looking at it, it's also investors looking at it. So it can't be sold for too much, or investors really won't make anything off of it. And it's usually surrounding a lot of other rental properties, so that's something to keep in mind. This is a duplex in actually Sutton, Massachusetts. It's a pretty good deal. I actually have an investor that wants to go look at this property this week. It's going for $125,000, and it's 17 Main Street in Sutton. 2,102 square feet. Has a 2-car garage, which is really nice for a 2-unit, especially for the owner-occupied people that have their cars. And they're 2 bedrooms each, so it's a nice property. It needs some work, and if it was all fixed up, it would actually it could be anywhere from the mid to high 3s, depending on the finishes. The fourplex. This is my favorite beginner property, and the reason why is it's the highest amount of units you can go and buy with the low down payment. So now I can go into here as a first-time home buyer, as an owner-occupied, live in one unit, rent the other 3, and create some cash flow. And otherwise, you go up to a 5-unit, you're going to have to put 20 to 25% down, unless you're doing seller financing or something like that, which is a more advanced strategy. Some of the cons are that it's a little bit more riskier than the 2-family, and some people feel safer getting into the 2-family and only having one tenant to deal with. And it's a little bit more upkeep. There was no 4-families on the market today that I really wanted to show you that would cash flow. So this is a 3-unit, and it is in Worcester. It was actually listed yesterday. It's $329. It's a huge 3-unit, 4,608 square feet, 3 bedrooms each, and the rent is extremely low. I mean, the rent's at $450 a piece. And these could probably rent at the low $1,300, at the high $2,300, all depending on finishes. Like today, the rents could probably be $1,300, and they're at $450. So it's one of those properties where you got to go and learn about tenant laws. And this one's cool. I know. Someone was talking earlier about someone looking for a restaurant space. This may not work, may work. It's actually half commercial, half a rental unit. It's a 2-bedroom apartment and then office space. It's 2,847 square feet. And it's in Sutton, Massachusetts, 28 Main Street, going for $258,900. And it's a very unique property. A lot of people, sometimes like business owners, like myself, like a real estate agent or an attorney, will maybe want to live in the one apartment or rent it out, and then have their office in the other space. So these are a very unique and popular option for first-time investors. Now this property, I wish I could buy today, I think. My mom actually, who's not even an investor, she pointed this out to me like 2 days ago, and she was like, "Oh, do you see that property in Grafton?" So this is a 6-unit in Grafton, Massachusetts, 2 Oak Street, $650,000. They're all 1-bedroom apartments. It's 4,776 square feet, and the rents are low as well. These rents are at $850, and in Grafton, a 1-bedroom for $850 is very, very low. That's a dream for a renter right there. Just to give you an example how big that 3-family was, that was 4,600 square feet about, and this one is a 6-unit and it's 4,700. So it's only about 170 square feet bigger than that 3-unit. So that 3-unit's a pretty big property. Now, here's Ben.
So this is simple. What you want to do is know the value of a property. Always do the financial calculations first. Look out at what the property value is right now. Look at the market, the area around a property that you're looking for, and know the value of your market. Then you want to find opportunities. These opportunities are unique. Real estate is one of an interesting industry where you can make really interesting deals happen and make money out of it. If it's renting or if it's a residential renting and commercial space like the one Nick showed us. So know the value, find opportunities, and make deals. Any questions for this part of the presentation before we have our guest speaker come up? Nope? Okay. Now I would like to invite Anastasia Papadopoulos up. I cannot
Papadopoulos.
pronounce her last name. I apologize.
I
Not
guess,
the first time I assumed somebody.
no. A for effort.
Yeah, usually that's when I decide I'm just gonna say the first name.
It's okay. So my name's Anastasia Papadopoulos. I'm a residential real estate attorney with Silva Law, with Silva. We're based out of Waltham is our main office. We also have an office in Somerville and a remote office in Plymouth. Just so that I know, is everyone in here a realtor? You just attending for personal knowledge, investors?
Realtors, investors.
Investors. Everyone else is
Business advisor.
awesome. So I understand, and we always respect that investors, agents, loan officers all have attorneys that they work with, and we respect loyalty to them. But I wanted to just kind of explain my firm and what I do, and let you know our availability around the clock. So my firm is strictly a real estate law firm, which is really important, especially during the busy market that we're in right now, because I'm not running to court for 3 hours and then back in the office, or vice versa. I'm fully focused and available on drafting, reviewing, negotiating purchase and sale contracts. I do everything from the PNS through to the closing, attend the closing, everything that comes up in between, tracking financing, commitment dates, and it's a lot of agents that I work with and loan officers will tell me that it's a breath of fresh air to work with a firm that focuses just on real estate, especially because it's so ever evolving and there's already so much to know and learn and kind of be involved in, that it's nice because I just keep building my experience in it. So you can go over to the next one. So as you all may know, the attorney in Massachusetts is only one of 5 states where an attorney is required to represent a lender, and we usually come into play once the offer is signed. So I get an accepted offer, and then I introduce myself, and your agent or loan officer introduces me to you, and I request the purchase and sale agreement if I'm representing the buyer, or I draft it if I'm representing the seller. It's really important to note that the offer and the PNS are 2 separate contracts. The offer is a legally binding contract. There's an offer acceptance and consideration equals a contract. So I tell all of my clients, while I look at the offer and I mirror it on the PNS, things may come up during inspection that we can negotiate, whether it's repairs or closing cost credit in lieu of repairs. So really, it's, I always just say that even though certain portions of the document are boilerplate, every transaction is unique, it's subjective to certain scenarios, and so once the terms of the PNS are signed, they're final, and that's the document that trumps. Another important note to make too is we never get involved with litigation matters. So again, that's something that when we represent you for that contract. Say for example, the seller does not perform and they don't have a legally binding reason not to perform, then if that were to be brought to litigation for specific, the seller was sued for specific performance, that isn't something that your purchase and sale attorney, your real estate transaction attorney would handle. Our role goes as far as the party's interest in the purchase or the sale of the property. So again, my responsibility, ensuring all the terms of the signed PNS are met, communication with parties of interest. I communicate with the real estate agents, the lender, my rule of thumb is keep everybody in the loop from the get-go. Can't tell you how many times there's an agent, I'm representing buyer's agent said, oh, well, I found out from the seller today, XYZ, because that other attorney didn't include everyone. I just found that from the beginning, if all parties are in the loop, it really just keeps things going smoothly. And then no one can come to me and say, well, you didn't tell us this. Well, yes, I did. Here's proof. Again, tracking of the key dates is agreed upon in the contract. Once I get an offer and once that purchase and sale agreement is signed, I make sure that I keep track of the financing commitment date. So it's not your agent's responsibility or your responsibility or your loan officer's responsibility to remind me of when that date is. It's my responsibility. We have a tracking system. I see, okay, John Smith's financing date's coming up in 2 days. Let me reach out to the lender. Do we need a little more time? Have all conditions been met? If not, I request an extension so that, and the reason why that's extremely important is if you include the mortgage contingency in your PNS, that protects your deposit in the case that your financing cannot be obtained. And I'm seeing higher and higher PNS deposits from $30,000 to $100,000 so lately. So it's extremely important to for me to be on top of my clients' financing commitment dates.
What side do you normally handle, the seller or the buyer?
Between us, I prefer the buyers, but I take everybody. Sellers, buyers. For some reason, it just is easier with the buyers. Even though you'd think otherwise. Something that I'm seeing more and more often is a lot of people years ago, 20, 30 years ago, that are going to sell now didn't opt into owner's title insurance, and they have all these title issues coming up. And I'm the lucky one that gets to try to track down what used to be Washington Mutual, which has now been bought by JP Chase and has been sold 30 times since 2002, and now I get to go find the discharge. So again, I never say no. Some are extremely smooth sailing, but I just enjoy buyer reps more too. So yeah, any changes of legal terms, just because something's written in the offer doesn't mean that we can't change it for the PNS. Of course, both parties have to agree, but we can always negotiate. One thing though that I do stress, and again it's because I'm seeing these bidding wars a lot, especially I work with a couple of agents who do a lot in Somerville and Cambridge, and people are just giving way over asking, knowing that the appraisal will likely come in lower, but putting in contingencies that they will pay out of pocket up to $20,000 if so. But on the flip side, some buyers, I had something recently in Brookline, really wanted this single-family home, put in over asking. Agent said to them, do you want to put appraisal contingency? No, because also if they did put it, that offer likely wouldn't have been accepted because there were other offers where, they knew. It was just like, give it to me. I'll waive everything for you. But, and luckily these buyers are financially able. I think that's why they were able to, because guess what? It came in $45,000 lower than sale price, and now they're paying out of pocket. But there's other buyers that come in and say, oh, can we put in the appraisal contingency in the PNS? No, because it wasn't on the offer. Will I ask? Yes, I'll ask. Is it likely the seller's going to agree? No, because the seller doesn't want to deal with that later. So that's a really important contingency that there's two, the G-bar and Mars form. I think the G-bar, some of them have language on the offer that mentions the appraisal, but generally the offers don't have that language in there. So I always recommend to include it under the additional terms and not just rely on implication of the mortgage contingency clause, because that is mainly for if you're yes, could the appraisal be a reason why you're denied financing? Yes, it can, And that's where then the buyer could take their deposit back, if literally the lender said, we can give you a denial letter because you're not gonna be able to afford this. In my buyer's case, the lender was like, I could change your loan product, you'll still be able to afford this. So,
Alright, 1 second. Technical difficulties.
oh, it's okay. I think there was only a couple more. Like, okay. So yeah, aside from, so the PNS, I don't wanna bore you too much with all the legal jargon in it, but I always make sure that the main provisions are always covered, you know, how you're gonna take title is important. The first paragraph of the PNS is how you're gonna take title, because it's written on the deed, and that chain of title sticks with you forever. So I tell people, you have a nickname, but your legal name is, you know, Jonathan, they call you Johnny, well, make sure Jonathan's on there. Same goes with closing date, make sure that, you know, sometimes people are, oh, I'm working that day. Well, yeah, of course you're working that day, you gotta, you know, you're buying a house, you need to make sure that when you're signing this offer, that it is realistic for you to either take work off or plan accordingly a half day or something. So the little things that go a long way. So same goes with the purchase price and the deposit amounts. Those are all very important. I always point those out. Any appliances that are going to remain, I always make sure that people confirm were there maybe there was a refrigerator in the basement. Maybe they said they're going to leave the jacuzzi. All of that stuff is better to include because sometimes during the process the seller will come to the buyer and be like, you know what, we decided we're going to just leave. If you want, we're going to leave all of our kind of tools in the shed. If you can keep them if you want them, and that's a kind of a separate agreement after, which you come to a mutual agreement. But big appliances or something that you really want, that you want to request, you can ask for that and put it in, just so that it creates an ease. So on to owner's title insurance. Is everyone familiar with owner's title insurance? A lot of people think it's a scam, and it's not, for the reasons why I just even told you. I represent sellers, things come up, and they wish they had owner's title insurance. So when you are, owner's title insurance is separate from lender's title insurance, it's that it's optional. Lender's title insurance is required. It protects the lender's interest in the financing that they're providing to you. Owner's title insurance protects you and your heirs when you go to sell the house from any title issues that existed with the property even before you owned it up until you sell it. Now, when my firm represents the lender and does a title exam, we do our due diligence from checking 50 years prior up until today, present date, to make sure there's no liens, judgments, mortgages, and whatever encumbrances. However, there's been instances where, because of human error in the past, a mortgage was paid off, but there was no discharge recorded. A grandson comes out of the woodwork saying that was his grandfather passed the house down to him. And now he wants to fight for it in court. That one-time fee for owner's title insurance that you're going to pay at the closing as part of the closing costs is a peace of mind for the rest of the time that you own the property, because say anything does come up later, this owner's title policy will cover you, so you don't have to pay out of pocket for litigation costs, and it ends up sometimes being tens of thousands of dollars. For example, if it's such an old mortgage, I had recently a seller, we couldn't find any record of owner's title insurance, and guess what, her attorney that did title for her has since been disbarred. Couldn't even get in touch with him. Well, there was a discharge from 1984, and September 1st it's going to be null and void per the statute of limitation. But we're closing May 31st. So from May 31st to September 1st, we needed to cover bases. So I had to hire a discharge tracking company. She paid about $550 out of pocket. However, there's $5,000 held escrow until he gets that discharge.
You know, when you say that, I built like 300 new houses, so I kind of know what you're talking. But that's something new I've never heard about. So it got discharged in 1984.
The mortgage was from 1984, but it got sold like 3 times. No assignment recorded, nothing. So now we actually have to get the assignment. There was no way I could even reach. It wasn't in my capacity, so we had to hire an attorney who actually now specializes in tracking these things down. He's known.
So this bank in 1984 sold it to somebody who sold it to somebody who sold it to somebody.
Exactly.
3 people. These people went out of business, and so you hire an attorney that tracks this down.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Never had to.
And it's nuts because, while we're lucky too that I was able to put into this holdback agreement that he has until September 1st to get it, so that regardless, my seller will get her $5,000 back, because after that, the buyer's going to be all set anyways. And he said he needed 4 to 8 weeks, so I extended about to 15 weeks just to give him more time. And all parties agreed. It wasn't a big mortgage, but at the end of the day, it would still attach to the new buyer. No, good attorney is going to allow their client to have that attached to them. So of course, we all had to do our due diligence. But I'm telling you, if she had owner's title insurance, she could have been indemnified through that. This policy basically indemnifies you by saying that, the title insurance company releases it, and then the new buyer takes that indemnification. So it's little things like that, and it's so funny because you're like, wow, in 3 months this mortgage is going to be ashes to dust and in the wind. But it comes up. So, like I said, it's paid for at the closing, and it's calculated based on purchase price, loan amount, and the county that you're buying in. And it's calculated as part of your closing costs, and then you never pay for it again. My firm issues the policy to you, you get it in the mail, you keep it in your records, or we keep it in our records for however long we are allowed to keep it, and that's it.
No bank's gonna let you get a loan without having a title.
Lender's title. Yeah, that's required. Owner's is optional. What I was just talking about is optional.
I hear what you're saying. I'm sadly from Worcester County. The towns that touch Worcester, I'm the seller, so I get to pay it. And I get to pay for the insurance. I think we're the only people in the state.
Actually, yes, you're right.
I know,
yes, it's different. It's different. So I've worked with a couple of Worcester properties, and my very first time, I'm like, what are you doing? Why is the seller paying for it? And he's like, oh, in Worcester, this is how we do it.
Well, they're not Worcester. It's normally
Worcester
the towns
County. Yes.
towns that touch it and towns outside. And we fought it because we'll put in the purchase and sales. We'll say buyer's responsible, and then I'll fight with the lawyer. There's like, well, you're from Millbury, so therefore you have to pay it. I said, well, no, it's in the purchase and sales. Having said that, we finally relented, and now we just pay it because it's easier to deal with lawyers. But having said that, it's always peeved me and people like that before me, because we're the only place in the country. Why am I paying for your bond? Having said that,
you're
it's part of the game, and lawyers remind me every time. Oh, you touch Worcester, you pay. So
that's great. So you've tried to actually.
Oh no, we're not tried. We've done most of the purchase and sales. Like I said, over the years we've built 300 houses in town of Millbury.
Have you tried to get rid of this?
Well, now because I say, why is it, it's not because it's law, it's because it's traditional.
Okay.
That's why we do it. And we've said, well, why is it traditional? We've sold half the houses in Millbury over the last 50 years, so why is it traditional if the lawyers, if the buyers always paid it for our closings?
Yeah.
Now, having said that, I'm not an attorney. You are an attorney, and I fight them all the time. And they always say, because you're in Millbury. So only in the last 2 years, we finally just said, okay, we'll pay it and move on. By the way, you just add for the price of the house anyhow. But having said that, but it's just kind of weird that somebody came up with this 100 years ago,
Yeah.
And it's just.
I think
just
now
stuff.
it's time for you to step out into another area, get rid of that. You don't have to pay for it anymore.
I'm not moving out of Millbury because
Yeah.
that's something no, I hear what you're saying. I just think it's kind of, it's a battle we've been having for years. Yeah, that's it. But you have, obviously, you do your title, you do your own title. Do you ever do you actually?
I personally don't.
You have a
view
title
title.
company, I assume you have.
We have an in-house, we have
Title.
2 in-house title examiners, and then we outsource to Westcor and Stewart Title.
Okay, so you.
So,
that's-
because we're a national title company as well, which is
Okay,
separate
yeah.
from the Massachusetts real estate firm. So because, a lot of other states, they don't need a closing attorney, we actually have people in other states that we can do the title for them, just hire someone to go and do the closing, contract attorneys and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm just involved with the
Yeah,
Massachusetts
okay.
EMS things, yeah. So yeah, then we go to closing day and, like I said, your attorney closing, so a lot of, I've been kind of seeing, not that much, but I think there's a confusion, some buyers think that they need to have a separate attorney and the lender's attorney, because maybe have a conflict of interest, or they have a family friend who does like divorce law, but will review a purchase and sale and come to closing and charge them $2,000 because they're a family friend. Mind you, when you use us who represent the lender, there's complimentary representation. There is no charge for the purchase and sale agreement, or the representation during the closing. There's a settlement fee that is paid with the title services that my firm does, and that goes towards, generating the closing docs, having a closing attorney sent there. But there is no hourly, there is no, I'm negotiating for you, you're gonna pay for this. And essentially, we're all on the same side, because the lender's interest is to secure their financing through their insurance. The buyer's interest is to obtain financing from them. Unless they were discriminated against by the lender, that's the only time they're gonna go to court against each other. So, I always stress that, and of course, we work with a lot of lenders, we're on many lenders' lists, but there are some banks out there, very local, exclusive banks, or small local banks that will use an exclusive list of closed attorneys where they will not even look at your name or take your phone call. So that from the get-go, I always like to ask, my clients, who are you going to be working with? I want to make sure that I'm honest with you, because if your lender doesn't let us represent them, then if you want to work with me, there is a separate buyer representation fee. So at that point, we're not doing any title work. So, as you've done many closings,
It's funny that before your time, it used to, you always used to go to a local bank, because first of all mortgages used to go through small banks. Now it's normally mortgage company. It used to be you had to use Joe Blow, attorney, that's who you use. In the last 5 years, it's pretty much still, which is tough for a builder, because you're a wonderful person, but I know I have to get so much paperwork to your office if you're doing the closing. I know, trust me, I know, blah, 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 blah. I truly want to know the person in your office who's a young woman or a guy, but normally it's a young woman. I want to get all the paperwork to her, and I like to deal with one lawyer's office, because then I get to know that person. But lately, I'm dealing with, and I've never dealt with your law firm, but it's all of a sudden somebody up in Quincy, I'm building a house in Millbury.
3 people per lawyer, you're saying?
Yeah, no, but I'm saying, no, instead, I'm dealing with a law firm, like, literally, I will now get a call that Silva Law is doing it for Acme Bank, and you're also gonna do you're doing the closing and taking care of the client also. I'm now dealing with an office I've never dealt with before, so I have to make sure. It was a lot easier back in the day when Country Savings Bank only dealt with Mel Glickman's office.
Yeah.
And Mel Glickman's office, I would go up to their office and hand them paper. Now I have to. But the world has changed, is all I'm saying. but I'm saying it's
But we can keep to your ways as well.
Oh, no, I have nothing, no, I'm just saying, it's interesting, I mean, I'm gonna take a card from you,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
what I want, I don't care who the lawyer is, I mean, I know, all I want,
You just
I
want
know
him
what,
to
I
get
want
your
somebody, I just want,
documents.
the day of the closing, I want a check, that's all.
Yeah.
And I want I want a clean title, I mean, it's because we've owned it, I'm not really worried about the title. All I care about is the check at the end of the day, you go, the people go home, I go
Keys,
home, and
yeah.
everyone's happy. I don't want the day of the closing, which you well know, if somebody has done a bad job, all of a sudden,
This comes up on the CD, or that's not included, or
yeah,
this, or
well,
that.
we haven't finished the title yet.
Oh, no,
I've been,
that's not acceptable.
now he's giving me, so, there's a piece of property I'm buying, and it's from the federal government. It's
The
the
foreclosure?
some guy, he was rebuilding a house, and he has a subdivision, but you probably shouldn't sell a lot of cocaine when you're doing it at the same time. So the sheriff, the feds own it.
Okay.
So I was gonna buy it, I think February 7th, I have all the paperwork done for, well, all of a sudden the feds find out, they do the title, somebody has a lien on it, a bank has a lien on it, for more money than I'm paying for it.
Oh my
The feds
God.
are, so we've now gone from February 7th to March 7th to April 7th to June 7th, and I've only gone 15 days, but the feds are trying to they're trying to talk the bank down on, the bank wants $265,000, I'm making numbers up, $265, I'm paying $225 for this piece of property. The feds have to come up with $40,000 to give the bank, the feds don't wanna come up with it. So they're going back and forth, so I'm kinda in the middle, so.
But you're still gonna go through with it
I did
at this point?
Yes, well, there's a reason, there's a mortgage on it for more money than I'm buying prior. But I'm just saying, titles have a habit of messing things up. Not messing things up, no, and once again,
Messing
I
and then fixing and
I
then-
mean, obviously I have lawyers involved, and I want clean title.
Yeah, because you don't wanna get it with
I don't wanna
that
touch
crap.
it, I
That would've came attached to you.
Oh,
You try to
absolutely.
flip it or something and then sell it.
No, here I think I bought it cheap, and all of a sudden there's a
Yeah.
200, whatever it is.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
what
kind
I-
of where, even though it'll be a blessing in disguise by the time it's done. It already is, even though
You're right,
it's,
and I'm
time
saying
is,
then that's-
keeps going and going and going.
People, and these are the two guys who really bad. I mean, no, you want title in the worst way, and you want clean title, and you want to work with people who know how to do title. And you're work style, but I've never had a title company that's come back and bid us yet. I mean, in other words, the title companies I've worked with have always, now, when I buy a piece of property before I subdivide it, I'm making sure I have clean title before I spend so
Yeah.
now, it's not like where you're dealing with.
It's different because you're developing, yeah.
It's different, I mean, so when you're dealing with somebody, this has been through 5 people in the last 40 years.
Yeah.
You're going through, hopefully I have clean title, if I don't, well, this is, after I've sold 5 houses in a subdivision, I was like, how do you know you have clean title? I said, well, unless those other 5 companies that the banks have hired don't know what they're doing, and my guy doesn't know what they're doing,
And then,
it's probably pretty clean.
Yeah.
Hopefully it is.
Any other thoughts? So yes, as I mentioned, we do free purchase and sale review. We are not a 9 to 5. We are available nights and weekends. I know the agent's busiest time is the weekend, so I always tell agents you can reach out if you need help kind of drafting an offer, any questions. Buyers as well, if you're in the middle of accepting an offer or, you got one accepted and you need a quick turnaround for purchase and sale review. We also offer a Heroes Home program, which I brought some flyers. We do discounts for military members, active and veteran, police officers, firefighters, EMTs, doctors, nurses, and first-time home buyers. So it's a lesser settlement fee, it's a discount off the settlement fee, and 10% off owner's title insurance that we offer. So I'll pass those around to you guys with my cards. Check my information.
I think so. Keep it just so I have another one. Thank you for speaking.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
That was Friday night, you go to the front or something.
I just went to actually that party last weekend, so I'm good for this one.
Oh, okay.
I'm in relaxation.
Hi guys, my name is Rocky. I apologize for not being here throughout the whole thing. I was receiving calls back and forth, so I apologize. So my name is Rocky. I work with Better Insurance, and I actually manage another part of the business, Better Advisor. So I'm a business advisor, and I help the real estate industry make it more profitable. The way I do it is with properties, right? I come see the property owner and advise them on methods like cost segregation. So a lot of property owners don't do this. It's a way of depreciating your property faster. Instead of waiting the whole 39 or 27.5 years, we actually accelerate the depreciation to the very first 5 to 7 years. So it's huge amounts of money up front, which can actually offset your taxes for as long as there's that credit. Okay, so that's one of the things we do. I don't compete with CPAs. I actually help CPAs do this because CPAs can't do it because it's an engineering-based study. Right? So we expose the property owner to this. All we need is a copy of their depreciation schedule, and then the engineers are going to take the blueprints of that property and then allocate the parts that can depreciate faster. They actually see that. They instead of waiting down with 39 years, they accelerate it to the first few years, and the property owner can save a lot of money on that. Now the next thing we do is, when it comes to insurance, I think, what's your name, man? Vicky. So Vicky took one of our folders, which includes a couple of insurance coverages. One of them is equipment breakdown, which covers boilers, water heaters, you name it, furnaces, things that normally isn't covered by the regular home insurance. And it's usually about $40 to $50 extra on your insurance, which can save them a lot, because if your boiler should break down, it's a lot of costs. Okay, if your heater should break down, it's a lot of costs. So that there, it's a huge money saving insurance, which I really recommend that everybody, whether you're an investor, property owner, you should take advantage of it, because it's very scarce. It's not that common, right? Another thing is we have fix and flip studies. Those who are actually into fixing and flipping, needing hard money loans and all of that, we also offer that. And I'm not here to sell anybody on that. We offer very, very minimal rates on that. It goes about 6.5%. No credit checks, no income verification, nothing so strenuous, because we have a lot of people we work with when it comes to our money. We have a huge book of business with that, and we have a lot of progress with that too. So we could actually shop around, give you the best quotes and the best terms, which could definitely fit your purpose for the loan. Like those are just a few of the things that I had to say. Else I might probably bore all of you guys to death. I don't want to do that. So there's a couple of cards over here if anybody wants them. I'm actually going to pass them around. So, yeah. And if anybody needs some of these advisory services, you can definitely contact me. I have some of my cards here. Please, don't hesitate to grab the flyer. Alright. So thank you guys for giving me an opportunity. I really didn't progress so much when it comes to information, but then there's just a little thing, like a brief information about what we offer and how we could actually help your clients and you yourselves. And one more thing before you run away. If there's anybody here who hires, who over here hires on a yearly basis. So there's one thing that a lot of business owners don't do, and it has to do with the Workers' Opportunity Tax Credit. Let me see by hand, anybody who's heard of it? Workers' Opportunity Tax Credit. Has anybody heard of it?
No.
Okay. So first and foremost, it's done by only 1% of employers in the whole of USA. This from the Department of Labor. They came up with these statistics. And it's such that once a business owner hires people from diverse kind of people, like veterans, ex-felons, unemployed people for 6 months, food stamp recipients, summer help, there are about 15 different categories of people you could hire. And once you hire them, and they qualify, right, you could be earning anywhere from $2,400 to $10,000 in federal tax credit per hire. It's not done by a whole lot of business owners. The reason being it has to be done within 28 days of hire, and you can't ask these questions because of, guess what, discrimination laws.
So how do you find out if they fall into that?
Exactly. So yours is just bring them in. Of course, you could hire them. You can say that you're putting them on probationary basis for the hire. And then what we're going to do is we have proprietary software. We can plug them into it. It's very simple. The only information we need is their name, their email address, and their phone number. Once that is done, we're going to send them a survey. You realize, has anybody noticed that when maybe Walmart, Lowe's, any of these big companies are hiring, they have you fill out a survey, and these questions similar questions are in there. That's them taking advantage of it. So if they hire you and fire you in the next 3 months, they've already made the money off of you. So it's a big thing going on there. That is going to offset your AMTs. People don't do it because they don't know about it, right? It's been there since World War II. It was brought in place to kind of give a second chance to veterans to get back to work. But these days they've expanded it to cover a whole lot of people who are not that too fortunate. So this is there to help a lot of business owners save a lot of money because a lot of people are paying way too much in taxes. Taxes is what's killing a lot of businesses right now. And Uncle Sam is screwing people over right there. So right now people are...
Well, also probably because I'm sure more business owners are probably a little hesitant to hire
No,
certain
it's
demographics,
always,
so this is an
yeah,
incentive
it always
to
has
kind of
this
get money
stigma
back.
that kind of work.
Stigma.
Here's an ex-felon. Who wants to hire an ex-felon? Once that they see that check mark in that box that you're an ex-felon, now it gets hard to hire you. Nobody wants to hire an ex-felon. You might have a history, and they don't want to risk the business when it comes to that. But this time, there's a package that he's coming with. But you're gonna let him go because of the...
No, well, no, I'm saying, I have no employees myself, all I use is subs, because then I get them, as long as I have workman's comp, and I have general liability, and my painters and my framers, I bet you they don't take advantage of this.
They don't.
And they, trust me, they were dealing with some people who...
They don't.
Oh, they probably could.
Oh, no, I'm saying they could, because I mean,
The thing is, they should.
Yeah.
How many employees did you say?
Doesn't matter.
Oh,
You could hire one person and plug them into the It doesn't matter. And another thing is where
I'm sorry, Rocky, it's a workers' opportunity.
workers'
credit.
opportunity tax. Right.
Yeah, tax credit.
Another thing business owners look over is, you mentioned it, workers' comp. And with workers' comp, what I can say about it is a lot of people are getting screwed, excuse my language, because there are codes. The workers' comp is based on the codes that you're given to run the business. So I'm going to use construction for this example. A lot of construction companies are getting, screwed because they are being overcharged. So we came up with this program where we call it premium recovery audit. What we do is, instead of auditing the companies, the business owners, or in this case, the construction company, we audit the insurance company. Because what happens is the insurance company, a person, maybe 5, 10 people from one company can move from one category of job to another. The last company we did this for, they had 6 janitors being coded as roofers. And you know what the liability is for you being a roofer. It means your workers' comp is going to be through the roof. So they were paying about 3 times what they were supposed to pay workers' comp. They had the wrong classification codes and the wrong experience codes. There are tens of thousands of those codes. Nobody's going to sit down and look at it. Business owners are busy. They don't have the time to sit down and look at all of these codes. So what we do is we go to the insurance company. We have, we could go back up to 5 years and audit them. So if they've been screwing you for over 5 years, trust me, you're going to get huge paychecks. And all we do is on contingency basis. We don't charge anybody up front. It's all after, because otherwise you would have lost the money anyways. So basically that's just a few. That we have about 15 different services that we do. So this is just the most prominent ones that I believe is very, very urgent that business owners should take advantage of. And when it comes to the real estate industry, it's something that should be really talked about. So this is my little piece that I'm going to leave you with. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming in again. And I wish you the best.
Thank you.
So, thank you everyone for coming. And this concludes this event. We'll have another event coming late July, maybe early August. And I'll keep you all posted.
Thank you.
You're, as a builder, I can't help you.
Yeah.
But